Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video, I'm going to be showing you my completed pages for May and June. I know I'm late, it's almost the middle of July. However, better late than never. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Okay, let's get into it. So I'm going to be going through the books one at a time and show you the completed pages from both May and June, not in any particular order. So if things jump back from May to June, accept my apologies. I will try to be a little more organized for next month. I think I said that last time as well. Let's start with Retro Rockabilly. We actually colored these during the TikTok lives, and we decided to start naming them, which has been so much fun. So with the Retro Rockabilly, naming them has been part of our, it gets kind of heated in the chat, not heated, but fun heated in the chat. So for Betty, we decided to, when I say we, I mean me, and also some of my live stream buddies. So purple hair, green dress. And I love how the dress is actually two different colors. I'm going to use this as a little pointer. Two different colors. So we used a light blue in the background and then this really nice green over top. Now, as with 99% of my books, completed pages, I am using colored pencil and alcohol markers. For the background in this one, I did the alcohol marker to the background to give it some kind of retro influence, and same with these little stars here. So this one was completed May 9th. Candy was from June. And we really had a fun time actually with the background on this one. There was a request to kind of make it look like there was light shining down on her, but having a multicolor background. So I used chalk pastels for the background for this one. Normally I have been doing both chalk pastels and maybe some markers, but this one was only using the chalk pastels. Her hair turned out so beautifully. I loved how soft and blonde it really looked, not just yellow. That's Candy. She was done on June 9th. Next we have Bobby Joe. And Bobby Joe, we were going for kind of a gothy look with Bobby Joe. And I loved her. We didn't do a background for her because we did spend a little bit more time coloring the hair. I think next time I will go with almost a silver or light gray base color and then add in the pencils second to that. And her beautiful eyes. I love the purple eyes. I'm gonna bring you closer. Yeah, her purple eyes turned out so lovely. Again, this was on TikTok Live, and that was completed on May 29th. I love that we gave her some tattoos. Next is Lily. She is so pretty. I actually tried for the first time doing a pattern in the for her earrings. And I think it turned out pretty cute. I actually like the background as well. I did use chalk pastels to create the larger circles and then added sparkles to the smaller yellow ones. But she turned out lovely. Her eyes are so pretty. I do love her eyes. That was May 29th. Oh, this is May. This is Sherry. Sherry is lovely. I loved the yellow. I love how bright the yellow is, and I love how her green eyes turned out. And her hair is actually really, really pretty. And her lipstick. The challenge for me, which seems silly, is actually writing the names down because it's so permanent there. It's such a silly thing. But that's one thing I'm noticing that I'm finding hard. Bernadette was done on May 16th. The background, I added these large, almost disco balls into the background. And I have it here actually. I used a lid from one of my candles and I just put it down and traced around it. And for the center of these disco balls, I used alcohol marker and then used a bunch of tiny little dots to add in a lighter gray, a darker gray, and then I went over with white acrylic marker afterwards. Then added these little flourishes, sparkles in afterwards. So that was May 16th that we did that on TikTok. Oh, and here's Pinky. We did Pinky in June, almost like Pinky Tuscadero from Happy Days, if you guys remember that show. I used to love that show. So her hair, we decided to give her these big chunky pink highlights and green eyes, pink eyeshadow, dark pink lipstick, a pink dress with a black satiny sash and bow. And then for the background, we decided to do these. I find these circles to be a really fun retro background idea. I am kind of in the middle of looking up what else I can do for the backgrounds as well. But these little circles, I put little black hearts in the middle of them, almost like Joan Jett. So that one was June 7th. I think do I have one more? I think that was the last one. Yes. So that one was from the Retro Rockabilly book. Next, we have Blooming Bees, and I think I've only got a couple of pages from May and June in this one. This one's May. This one I did as part of a tutorial for YouTube. I wanted to show different techniques for using the alcohol markers and colored pencils together. And I also wanted to give a little tutorial on how to make the wings look shiny and translucent, which I think they do. It turned out really, really pretty. And I love the background on this. Sometimes I enjoy leaving the background white so the actual image itself stands out a lot more. That was May. And I think that was the only one. So that was the only page I did from Blooming Bees. And I'll show you the back quick too. So it just gives you a little preview of what's inside. Next we have Garden Gnomes. Okay. Arthur was completed on June 3rd. We are doing the same thing with the Garden Gnomes. We are starting to name them. We hadn't done that previously, but we did start with this one. This was the first time I tried using the gel pens to create an extra glowy effect, and then I added in the chalk pastels afterwards to create a glow around that glowing mushroom walking stick. And same with the little flowers. And I loved how it turned out. And he looks like an Arthur. He really does. He turned out so fun. That was a really, really cute page to color. I had a lot of fun doing that one. I do love this book so much. And I'm not sure if we did another one. That was February. I think there was only a couple. Maybe that was the only one. So the bees, the bees and the Gnomes only had 1 page done out of them for those 2 months. Unless is there one back here? Nope. Okay, so there is only 1 page done from this book, and that was the Garden Gnomes, and that was Arthur, and he was just the cutest. Next is Magical Fairy Homes. I am so happy with this book. This is a new version. I have recently updated most of the images. I'm getting a lot better at image creation with the program I use. So I have been really focused on this book for the past, I'd say, month or so. So we're gonna get right into it. There's the intro page, as always. And this is the first one. I am so in love with this page. I love the little moss bits and the flowers. I like to add little details, mostly using gel pens and sometimes acrylic markers, but I like to use those little shiny gel pens over top, and really gives them a nice, not flowery look, but it looks like they're blooming. It does look like there's a little bit of blooming happening. So this was on TikTok Live as well, and we did this one on June 25th. This one was completed June 10th, and this was the second time I tried that glow effect with the gel pens after I had colored it in with the alcohol markers and colored pencils. And then you can see where there's these little glowy lines here. I used chalk pastels to create little light trails just with the Q-tip. And then around here, that's also chalk pastel, and that was just used as well with the Q-tip. I think actually for this, I used a cotton ball with the chalk pastel on it, and then rubbed it around those glowing mushrooms to make them look like a source of light. And I love this page. I love the pink door. Okay, don't get me started on this page. This is probably one of my favorite pages I think I've ever colored. If I'm going to be honest, everything about this page I love. I tried to make these rocks to each side of this mushroom house, this little fairy house. I really wanted it to be almost like sparkling amethyst. So I colored it first with gray alcohol marker. Then over top with a little bit of lavender. I think I did a light purple and then a darker purple, and then some white to kind of make it stand out. Then I added the little details with the gel pens. And I love how they turned out. And these little mushrooms, I just love the red, and I love the contrast between the red and this green, how it goes from that green to the yellow. Green to yellow. It turned out so beautifully. So this page was a combination of, again, the same markers, colored pencil. I used chalk pastels for some things. You can see where there's some very faint light rays coming down from the glowing bits of this mushroom, the gills of the mushroom here. So chalk pastel as well. But turned out so pretty. Oh, and I did use, you can see the darker blue here. That was with my acrylic markers, the Jessart brush tip acrylic markers. And I love those too. They're so nice. But this page, definitely on my top 3 completed pages. Although I guess I shouldn't say that yet, because I still have a few to show you and that are really good. That I really enjoyed coloring. Oh, this is another one. These 2 pages, so the last one I showed you and this one, have the black background. So it's easier to make them glow, actually. And I used that gel pen around that little rim there that goes between the gills and the mushroom cap. And I'm thinking that that's what helps create that glowing effect. I also added some little dots, and also you can see where I've used some chalk pastel, kind of showing some little rays of shiny mushroom light coming down. And I also added in some little glowy fireflies up in here, different colors. That was created with chalk pastels as well. Turned out really, really nice. I think you can see why I'm obsessed with this book. Oh, can I show you a July one? Sure. I'm going to show you some July as well, it looks like. This one we did actually a few nights ago on TikTok Live, and it was requested to do almost a sunset, like a gentle glow in the background. So I used chalk pastels for the background for this one. And I just used a cotton ball, or a cotton makeup pad actually. So just like a makeup round that you use to take your makeup off at night with a cleanser. I added the chalk pastel to the cotton, and then I just rub it in, blending it really gently. And it looks so pretty. I love that effect where it goes from really light down here where it starts to get a little bit darker. I did try to make this corner a tiny bit darker. The tree here, I did gray on purpose. I wanted the focus to be on the house. The color of the door almost matches the little dots on the mushroom cap, and I love that. I also love how the colors transition from one to another. So this was a light yellow that went into a purple, that went from purple back to a yellow. And same with these stalks here. And that was I started that by blending the two colors of alcohol marker really gently together, trying to get a nice smooth blend, but going over top with a colored pencil, almost blending really lightly into that center part, and then coming down with the yellow. And it looks like I added a tiny bit of this green that I used under here down into this area as well. And you can kind of see where there's some little splashes of light again coming out from the gills with the chalk pastel. I've also started adding in a little bit of mossy green, almost scribbles along some of the bricks here, and it's really elevated how my little walkways look. That I started doing earlier this month. Was it this month? No, last month. I started doing that in June. Oh, here's another one. This one's from June. And for the background for this one, I did use markers for the sky, and the little tree line was here off in the distance, and I wanted to do it almost like this light kind of mossy green. So the focus would still be on the house without kind of losing that whimsy, that fun in the background. I really liked how this one turned out. I like how the red kind of went from red to pink, and then we went from this light purple to a darker purple here. And then we added this was kind of where I but I was thinking if I add a line around here and a matching color or something to go with the gills, then it would all tie together and it would really look glowy and it would really be fun. And so I've kind of stuck with that going forward. So this is June 19th. I did 2 lives actually that day. It was a little ambitious that day, I suppose. But I do love, I think my favorite part of this page, I'm going to be honest, are the gills. I love how dimensional it looks. I keep saying we, but it's really me. I colored it with the alcohol marker, all in this like light blue, leaving the center part. The grayscale books will show you where you need to shade and highlight. So the highlighted area I left rather light, and I believe for this one I did go in with a light yellow just around this area here. And then when I added my colored pencils, I started from the outside and almost tried to follow those lines. I wasn't coloring back and forth. I was really kind of going with the direction of the gills. When I got to this part here, your colored pencils will show up on a darker area. So I went over it all again with a darker gray just to make that shadow really stand out. And then along here, like along the edges where I wanted it to make it look like it was three-dimensional, that's where I add the shading. Oh my gosh, this page. This page had a white background, but I really wanted the focus to be on the mushrooms and the little lamps. So I colored the background first. Did I do that first? No, I did not. I lied. I'm sorry. I did it second. So I did the house first, and then I added in the background just by coloring. I used an alcohol marker and a nice gray color. And the mushroom caps, I love that they're orange, and I love this yellow. This is such a calming and moody page. It feels so magical to me. And this is where I started using the green. This looks like it's two different colors of green. And I just kind of scribble in that green in between the rocks, and it makes it look so natural. And the glow around the lights is the chalk pastels. So that was June 19th. This was June 20th. And same thing for the background. I did the background in a lighter gray. You know, it could be dusk. I like choosing different times of days for the backgrounds, or just even black or dark gray is fun. Or if you want to color in the trees, that is great too. You do you. I use the same orange or yellowy orange for the cap of the house as I did on the previous page. And I really wanted to reuse that red from that other previous page as well. Looks so pretty. I love how the flower pots are spilling over with these little flowers, and the moss on the roofs. I've been trying to really make them look fuzzy and at the same time give them a little bit of detail with the little, when I add the tiny dots to it, it makes it look like there's tiny little plants in there. And then of course the fireflies. I have to add in the fireflies, a little smoke coming out the chimney, and a little bit of a glow around the light. This one, oh my goodness, this one I did YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook Live. And the background I wanted to be this nice dark bluish gray. It again is really moody and allows the rest of the image to become the centerpiece. The roof, I feel here, like this is the centerpiece. I love how it transitions from the yellow to this bright orange to really subtle orange. And I also added in some extra shading at the top. I kind of carried down that green color into the shaded area down here. The door, and I like things to match. I'm sure you've seen that in my pages by now. I like things to be very matchy. So I tend to kind of incorporate the same colors and different spots throughout the page, like I have here. All the mushroom caps are almost the same color, with the exception of the two, we called them eggs, but I think they're almost like puffball mushrooms. And then these little mushroom caps down here, I wanted them to be blue, just to keep everything flowing. And again, chalk pastels on a Q-tip just around some of the glowing mushroom caps and the lanterns, and also use them to create the fireflies. So it's just a tiny bit of chalk pastel on the end of a Q-tip. Well, there you go. That was the last one for the new and improved Magical Fairy Homes. I am obsessed with this book right now, as you can tell. Next, we have Cozy Shire Homes. This is also a new and improved version of the older book. Again, the images have been updated now that I have become not proficient, but having a little bit more experience with the program. I'm really enjoying creating these new images, and there's number one. This one we did May 16 and 17. This was the first page, obviously, that I colored out of this book, and I really wanted that roof and this bit here to be glowing in the late afternoon sun. The moss is just perfect. I'm so happy with how this turned out. And this is also where I began experimenting using different colors of alcohol marker to create realistic looking rocks and walkways. I have been using a cool gray over top of the whole rock and then adding in little scribbles while it's wet, little lines and uneven marks, or yeah, I call them squiggles, but that's not the technical term, of the warmer gray to give it a little bit of natural looking dimension. And then of course I go over top of everything with my colored pencils and add in the details with it looks like for this one I only used the acrylic markers. I didn't use gel pens for this one. And even along the top here. In the background here, I used chalk pastels. And same with the background here. Up top. And a little bit of, we have a little bit of smoke coming out one of the chimneys. That was May 16. And then I did this the next day, this one here. And I did the same thing for the background. I used for the green, for the fields and the hills behind. I used a chalk pastel to color in or to shade in all that green. I didn't actually color it in. I just kind of brushed on some of that chalk pastel. And then I went over with the Q-tip and chalk pastel into some of the little darker areas, or where I wanted there to look like it was a different color, a field or something in the distance. So I did use two colors of chalk pastels for the grass and then the blue chalk pastel for the background. I did use some acrylic white markers for the smoke coming out of the chimney, and as well as the little clouds. And this one is the same. I used the alcohol marker for the base, and then sometimes I use two different colors. As you can see here, I use two different colors of the alcohol marker, and then I shade and highlight with the colored pencils. And all of this little shrubbery around here and all the little flowers are done with acrylic marker and the gel pens. That one took 2 days. I did finish the second one on TikTok and YouTube as well. Maybe I'll do a flip through of all of my new books in another video, because I don't want this one to run on too long. Brand new book called Pretty Rebels, Punk, Emo, and Goth Girls. This is my brand new book. We're doing the same thing. We are naming each of the pages. We're giving these girls each a name. And the first one is Raven. So we completed her June 25th. I gave her some barbed wire earrings. She came with the glasses, so the glasses are there. We wanted to give her this really fun black chunky highlight over top of her red hair. That's why we ended up calling her Raven. And I love the black eyeshadow and her green eyes. She turned out so nice. And I really wanted this to be a grungy type of a background. So I colored this in with the alcohol marker and then went over top with a little bit of that chalk pastel and just made some, and purple. So black and purple, and just kind of made it look dirty and grungy. This is Sky. We did Sky on June 29th, and I got a lot of help with this one from my chats. I wasn't quite sure about the blue at first, but I love how we blended it together. So it's almost like there's brown coming into this part of the hair, and then there's blue coming into the brown part of the hair. So we kind of mixed it up a little bit. And this was the first one I had colored where she had this side shaved head, and coloring that was really fun. It was just using a little bit of colored pencil over top of the alcohol marker again. And she turned out so lovely. And the pink and the blue look so good together. So that was Sky. And then we did Jazz on June 27th. She's beautiful. Her eyes are a really light lavender with a tiny bit of green around the pupil. It turned out so nicely. And her hair, I wanted this brown to be really cool looking brown to go with that purple. And I love her green hoodie. She turned out so nice. And I love her black nail polish. Jazz. Oh, the background is really light. I think I did that in colored pencil. And I just used a little bit of light pressure to add in a couple of different colors, almost to make it look like glamour shots backgrounds. That's a fun thing to do too. Billy was another one we did. So we had just been listening to Billy Idol when we were coloring this page. So she ended up being Billy. Her skin turned out really, really nice. So I'm really starting to get a little bit more confident with coloring skin tones, and I love how that turned out, how the shading's already there, but I did add a little bit extra layering of the colored pencils to give it a little bit more depth and dimension. And her lips are so pretty. And I love the leather jacket. That turned out nice too. And I think that's the last one from Pretty Rebels. I will be doing more from this book soon. Yeah, that was the last one. This book is very newly released, and I am so in love with this book. I think I've said that with every book I've done. This one is called Forest Guardians, Enchanting Forest Creatures. This book was designed because I wanted to color animals and forest elements, but not typical animals. So these are all hybrids of animals that you would imagine are guarding the forest. Oh, this is a July page. Actually, I'll show you anyway. This one we did on TikTok Live on July 6th. And her fur turned out so nice. I love that her fur was completely a different color than I had imagined. I was thinking like a more of a pale kind of pinky peach color, and then of course purple, which is my favorite color, would be in the mane, and her flower crown and all the jewels. But I was a little bit afraid at first when I started coloring this page and it was so pink. But afterwards, I went in and really added a lot of white colored pencil over top of some areas, and also started adding in a little tiny bit of that yellow that was down in the mane as well. And that almost makes her look feathery and almost looks like she's got this braided chest plate almost here. And I love her horn. It turned out so pretty. And this background here, I just use a little bit of chalk pastels. The trees I did color in with the alcohol markers and used a little bit of shading and highlighting with the colored pencils. And I love how she turned out. I love the flower crown too, actually. Little mossy bits and leaves. We added some gold to the leaves. And she turned out so lovely. Her eye is a stunning, so pretty. And here was the first guy that we did. I got to 140K likes on my TikTok and YouTube live. That was done on July 4th. And this was my first page coloring from this book. Oh my gosh, his fur is so cute. It's almost like he's reflective. He's reflecting elements of the forest on his fur. His eyes were a little bit tricky, but I did go back over them, I had made them really light blue with a gel pen, and it made him look like he was surprised. So I changed that up. I let it dry, and then I went over it with some chalk pastel and softened it back up and added some little twinkles back in there, and he looks so cute. Oh my gosh, this looks like he's actually holding a little bunch of eucalyptus. And then he's got these fancy little feathers and eucalyptus in his little backpack. He turned out so cute. And I love, again, moss details on the rocks. Like that little bit of mossy bits in there. The background is alcohol marker. I had to think about that. I did the background in alcohol marker. Getting down to this part here, the mist was already present. So I was really careful when I was getting kind of to that edge here. And I actually added in a bunch of the colorless blender just to prevent it from having a harsh line. I really wanted it to be this soft, misty looking transition. So I was really careful with that. After everything was colored, I went around everything with a little bit of yellow chalk pastel to make him glow. And same with along this tree here. I'm so happy with this book. I will do a flip through of Pretty Rebels and this new book, Forest Guardians. But I'll give you a look at a couple of pages. I don't want to flip through the whole thing. I will do a flip through in another video. Oh my gosh, I don't know which one to color next. I love coloring eyes, like I said. So most of my designs have large eyes, so I can color all of them. Well, there you go, my friends. That was my May and June roundup for my completed pages. I hope you enjoyed my reveal, and drop me a comment and a like if you enjoyed this video, and let me know what page you think I should color or what book I should color from next. I think this one or this one or this one or this one. See you next time.